Hey, good evening, ladies and gentle drunks. My name is Kevin Olson. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I'd like to welcome you all to the fourth dimension. Big book study, that is. Thank you guys for joining. I'm very glad you're here. I know I'm certainly glad I'm here. And I never feel more alive than when I'm sharing the message of Alcoholics Anonymous, God's message of Alcoholics Anonymous, as written in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And thank you so much for this privilege and this honor to get here, get to be here to share this with you and to enjoy this beautiful program of recovery with you. So, as we always do, let's start with the set aside prayer. God, please help me to set aside everything I think I know about you, about me, about my fellow man, about the 12 steps, and please allow me to gain a fresh new vision, perspective, and understanding of what you, what me, what my fellow man, and the 12 steps are all about. Amen. And as this is the fourth dimension big book study, I always like to read the two parts of our book that refer to the fourth dimension. First of all, on page 8, Bill Wilson writes that I was soon to be catapulted into what I like to call the fourth dimension of existence. I was to know happiness, peace, and usefulness in a way of life that is incredibly more wonderful as time passes. And then on page 25, Bill Wilson writes that we have found much of heaven and we have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed. Well, we are going to be catapulted. We are going to be rocketed. And for everyone who will, for the sake of tradition and custom of the fourth dimension big book study, everybody please put one hand up like this. And everybody put another hand up like this. Come on, Danelle. There you go. And everybody go, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to have fun tonight. I hope you're going to have fun tonight. It's entirely optional, but it's highly suggested. We are not a glum lot. We absolutely insist on enjoying life, and I hope that you'll enjoy it along with me tonight. So we're going to be on step 10 tonight. If you need any review on any of the previous work that we've done, including step 9 last week, I would highly encourage you to go to the YouTube and check out, if you just type in fourth dimension big book study into YouTube, into the search, you will find recordings, thanks to our great friend and trusted comrade and brother in arms, Rob Kay, there in Toronto. So they're all recorded, they're all online, and so if you want to go do a review of step 9 or anything else, there, yeah, it would be great to go and review some of that stuff. I need a reader tonight. Brad is not going to be here. Ronan, are you available to read tonight? All right, there's my man Ronan. Good stuff. I want to, from the bottom of my heart, I also want to welcome everyone. Everybody say hi to my brother, Cody. Hey, Cody.
Hey, Cody.
There he is. Hey, Cody. Cody's in Edmonton right now. Cody and I just spent the weekend together. Cody traveled on the bus down from Edmonton down to Calgary to come to my my birthday over the weekend. My AA birthday, 16th AA big AA anniversary. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, round of applause for Alcoholics Anonymous. Round of applause for AA. But I just, Cody, I just want you to know how much that meant to me, brother. And I love you very much, and really glad to have you here. And how's the new video working? It looks good. You doing good? There you there it is. That's an endorsement right there. All right. Okay, well, Ronan, if you can read for us, that is fantastic. We're going to be on page 84 for step 10. Now, I'm also, guys, I'm going to throw a bit of a wrench into this. Oh, and Ronan, do you have your 12 and 12 available? Do you have your 12 and 12 handy, Ronan?
Yep, here in front of me, yep.
Okay. Good, man. I like, great answer. Great answer. That's a sponsorship test right there, Ronan. You just passed.
Always
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, amen. Amen. So, guys, I fully appreciate this is a big book study, Alcoholics Anonymous, and the big book of AA. But step 10 for me is a step where there's a lot of good stuff in the 12 and 12. And early on in my recovery, as God would have it, I really spent a lot of time in the 12 and 12 related to step 10. And I want to fold some of that stuff together. So we are on page 84. And Ronan, if you could kick us off with "This Thought Brings Us."
Hi, yeah, Ronan, alcoholic. Page 84. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along.
All right, so I'm just going to pause there. I think the key word in step 10 is continue. Okay, we continue to take inventory, which suggests that somewhere along the line we have already learned to take inventory. Whoa, lo and behold, if I look back at step 4, we were taught a methodology, a framework on how to do inventory. Okay, and there's going to be more to say about step 10, obviously, over the course of today's session. But I want you guys to know, and I really believe this in my heart, okay? The framework that we laid out for step 4, for resentments, column 1, who am I angry at? Column 2, why am I angry? Column 3, how does it in fact affect me? Then saying the prayer in between column 3 and column 4. Then looking at column 4, where am I to blame? Where am I to blame in the past? Where am I to blame when I look in the mirror? Where am I to blame today? I believe that that is a framework for life that I can have in my back pocket. I like to say I have a little 4-column inventory printed on the inside of my forehead, okay? And as I go through life, when I get resentful at people, which happens frequently, okay, if it becomes very troublesome or even a little bit troublesome, I get just a little tangled up, as Bill Wilson says, I can put it into those columns and begin to get it sorted out, okay? And that's before I get to pen and paper, okay? I think it is good practice to do it on pen and paper as well to get it all sorted out, okay? But one of the things I need to do is continue to use that framework. Same with fear. When I get afraid during the day, okay? And again, we talked about in step 6 and 7, one of the keys in step 6 for me is that moment of pausing and becoming aware that what I'm experiencing right now is resentment, or is it fear, or is it self-pity, or whatever it might be. Though that 4-column inventory, when I experience fear, column 1, what is the fear? Column 2, why do we have the fear? Column 3, how is self-reliance failing me? In between column 3 and column 4, saying the step 4 fear prayer. God, please remove my fear of this situation and direct my attention towards what you would have me be. Then column 4, how would trusting God and fully relying on him and doing his will remove the fear? Okay, so just to point out, guys, just to say, when we talk about step 10, continuing to take personal inventory, I am of the belief that framework is something I should have absolutely memorized, imprinted. It should be a working part of my life on a daily basis. One of the things that can become irritable for me is when I have a sponsee call me and say, "Hey, I'm doing my inventory again. Can you take me through the steps? What are the 4 columns again? What are those columns? I don't remember." It's like, well, brother, we went through those, and I specifically asked you to remember what they were so that you can, because I have an expectation that they're, number 1, teaching this to other people, and number 2, utilizing this on a regular basis and have it as a working part of their life. So all of that to say, I think the word continue is not chosen by accident. We're continuing to do the type of inventory that we learned how to do in step 4, okay? And we're integrating it as a working part of our life. In step 11 in the 12 and 12, it says inventory and prayer and meditation, when logically woven together, create an unshakable foundation for life. And this, one of the things I've learned, brothers and sisters, is that if I'm going to stay sober and I'm going to stay well in life, I am going to inventory. I'm going to have to take inventory. And Joe and Charlie like to say, I can put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off until I'm so sick that I've hurt a bunch of people and I've destroyed everything again and I'm almost drunk, or I can do a little bit all the time. And we'll talk about what the time frame of step 10 looks like here in a minute. Ronan, back to you.
We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code.
Okay, so one of my favorite AA speakers, his name is Russell Spatz. He's actually going to be at the Gratitude Roundup in Calgary this year. I've known Russell for a few years. One of the things he says that I really like is after a while in sobriety, you know, when you're new, it's like I'm doing a step 2 here, and then I'm doing a step 3 on this, and then I'm doing a step 6 on this, and it's very regimented. And over time, what Russell says is you just start to play jazz with the steps. And it becomes, and I love that analogy because I'm a musician, right? So you just start to play jazz with the steps, and it just becomes kind of an integral working part of the mind. And I think that's what we see here. Okay, it says continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends if we've harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to how we can help someone else. That is really a very distilled down, condensed version of all of the 12 steps. Surrender, confession, restitution, service. Okay. And one of the things that was pointed out to me at the State Line Conference in Vegas a couple of years ago, and I just love this, and I'm going to share it with you right now. One of the speakers pointed out on page 84 for step 10, it says we look for 4 things and we do 4 things. That's a really simple way to break it down. We look for 4 things and we do 4 things. Okay, so continue to watch for 1, resentment, 2, selfishness, 3, dishonesty, 4, fear. Continue to watch for those 4 things. When they crop up, 1, we ask God to remove them. 2, we talk to somebody else about them. 3, we make amends if we've harmed anyone. And 4, we turn our thoughts to how we can help others. We look for 4 things and we do 4 things. Isn't that a great way to break it down? That's step 10. If you only take one thing away from this study today, let me share that gift with you as it was shared with me. We look for 4 things and we do 4 things. Okay? Selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God to remove them. We talk to someone about them immediately. We make amends if we've harmed anyone. Then we turn our thoughts to how we can help others. Boom. Simple. Simple. Boom goes the dynamite. There it is. Okay. Now, one of the things that there was a lot of this going on where I live in Calgary over the last little while. You would often get a phone call from people, especially people newer, and what they would say is, hey, do you have time for a step 10? Okay, do you have time for a step 10? And what they would mean by that is that they wanted to talk about something going on in their lives. So they wanted to talk to somebody else about this selfishness, resentment, dishonesty, and fear. Okay. And there was like a pandemic of this going on. There was a time I was getting like, yeah, I'll put that up again, and in a moment for sure, 100%. There was like a pandemic of this going on for a while. You just get these calls like, hey, do you have time for a step 10? And it meant that somebody wanted to call. Basically, what it meant is that somebody wanted to call and talk about themselves. Okay. When we talk about inventory, guys, inventory should be a practical matter that gets us on with the business of living and being of service to God. Okay. One of the things that my grant sponsor Clancy would talk about is that inventory in AA, unfortunately, sometimes can become like a publicly accepted form of self-obsession. And I know people, and maybe you do too. I see some nodding heads here, right? I know people that you can't stop them from doing step fives. They love doing step fives. They love to sit down and talk with someone for hours on end about every nook and cranny of their lives. And like that serves a purpose maybe one time for a brand newcomer. Okay. For the most part, all I want to point out here is that people who are calling to say, I want to do a step 10, I want to do a step 10, sometimes I would throw them off and I would say, oh, do you mean you want to call and talk to me about my stuff? Like, no, 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 no. I want to talk about mine. Okay. What I want to point out here is that that is only one part of step 10. What did we read? What are the 4 things that we do? Okay. We ask God to remove them. We talk to someone about them. We make amends if we've harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to how we can help others. We go be of service to other people. Okay. And that is the totality of step 10, right? And that's what we want to do. That's the way of life. That's how we want to live in Alcoholics Anonymous, not just calling people and talking about ourselves. Talking about my problems never made any difference in my life at all. You guys with me on that? Sitting around talking about my brothers and sisters, my mom is a therapist. Think about that. I'm an only child and my mom is a therapist. Believe me, I had all the opportunity in the world to talk about my problems, to talk about my feelings, so on and so forth. My problem is not that I didn't talk about things. My problem is that I didn't do things. I didn't take action in Alcoholics Anonymous. And it wasn't for lack of talking about my problems. Sitting around in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous and talking about my problems is not recovery from alcoholism. You guys with me on that? 100%. I believe that emphatically in my heart. Okay? And I found that believing that AA was like group therapy, and if I just went to meetings and talked about my problems, I would become okay. That nearly killed me. Drunk in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous for years. My problem is not that I don't talk about things. It's not that I don't know things. My problem is that I don't do things. So step 10 is asking us to do some things. We look for 4 things and we do 4 things, okay? So we're going to read through this, guys, and then and a lot of what's on that page that I put up, I'll put it up again. A lot of that is in step 10 and 12 and 12. So what we're going to read now, guys, and this is clutch. This is one of my favorite parts of the book, okay? What we're going to read now, I like to refer to as the step 10 promises, okay? And sometimes I think that these promises are actually more tangible than the step 9 promises for newcomers, okay? This is much more related to alcoholism, okay? And what I want to point out, guys, is that in step 2 says we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, okay? Could restore us to sanity, but we haven't been restored to sanity, obviously, in step 2. Now, Ronan, will you please read the next 2 sentences, starting with "and we have"?
And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time sanity will have returned. We will
Boom, boom, there it is. If you want to know when sanity returns in Alcoholics Anonymous, we just found it. Okay? For by this time sanity will have returned. Okay? I am not someone who believes, as some people do, when you go to these 3-topic discussion meetings, that we just stay, oh, I'm insane. I'm insane. I got a speeding ticket today. It's the insanity of my life. I stay insane forever. No, man. God and Alcoholics Anonymous are more powerful than that. If that's the only thing that they had to offer is that I was going to stay sober and stay insane forever, I don't think many people would stick around, okay? We are restored to sanity. Doesn't mean I don't have problems with life. Doesn't mean I don't have defects of character that still continue to wreak havoc in my life, okay? Doesn't mean that selfishness and self-centeredness are not still the root of my trouble. But in terms of the insanity of picking up the first drink, and the insanity and the obsession of the mind with respect to alcohol, the curious mental twist, the insane mental blank spot, whatever you want to call it, with respect to the first drink, we are restored to sanity. When? In step 10. By this time, sanity will have returned. Now, what has happened between step 2 and step 10? A whole lot of action, a whole lot of work. We've gone through and done a thorough inventory. We've identified our defects of character. We've asked God to remove them. Then we've gone and made amends to all the people that we have harmed. And as a result of taking those spiritual actions, we are now restored to sanity in step 10. Okay. And let's see now what that looks like for us. Okay. Ronan, please read the rest of the paragraph.
We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we have been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We've not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition.
Okay, so this is what happens to us as a result of the miracle of spirituality and building a relationship with God that we access through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is what happens for us. Okay, we are placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. The problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. Okay, I was sitting with a guy last Friday who he's been sober a couple years, but he stayed sober on his own in Red Deer. And man, he knew he was on thin ice. He just broke up with his girlfriend, and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to stay sober. I've been trying to keep myself sober. I've just been trying to work and all this stuff, but I know I'm going to drink again. And I sat and I took him through these. I read this with him, and I let him know, he's just coming to AA now, and he's just starting to do this work. And I promised him it's not going to be this hard all the time. Okay, you're not going to have to fight it tooth and nail and just white knuckle. We've all heard of white knuckle sobriety. No, that's not how I live today, man. The problem has been removed for me. Okay, now one of the things I like to do, just in terms of connecting the dots, you see at the bottom of page 84, it says, if tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. I want everyone to make a little note there that says, see page 24. Okay, see page 24. And then let's go see page 24. And if we follow directions in the past, there should be a little note where it says there is a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. And there should be a little note there that says, see page 84. Okay. And this is what I like to point out. Okay. On page 24, we're still in step 1. There is a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. Okay. We keep getting burned over and over and over. And anyone who's dealt with alcoholism or drug addiction knows, okay, that we get like dragged behind the car of alcoholism and addiction for years, burned again and again and again. Okay, and that's how it is for us. We keep getting burned. However, you skip between page 24 and page 84. If tempted, we recoil as from a hot flame. Okay, this problem has been removed. The problem has been solved with us. Again, guys, what has happened between page 24 and page 84? We just went to a lot of meetings? No. What happens between page 24 and page 84 is a whole lot of spiritual work. Okay? Inventory, confession, identifying our defects of character, asking God to remove them, making a list of all the people that we've harmed, and going and make spiritual amends to them. As a result of doing that, we are restored to sanity. We recoil as from a hot flame. And this is a promise. This is a guarantee to anyone who will do this work. Okay? Back to you, Ronan.
It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. Much has already been said
So
about.
as Rob just indicated, laurels are past achievements. Okay, and so before I can even rest on my laurels, I had to go get some laurels in the first place. I didn't have any laurels when I came here. I can't rest on past achievements. I didn't have any. Okay, so I had to get some achievements first, and then so that I could rest on them. Okay, but we can't rest on our laurels in AA. We have to continually keep moving. And there's a thousand great analogies on this. One of my favorites is my first sponsor told me that in AA, being in AA is like walking up the down escalator. Okay, you guys ever done that before? You're in the mall or wherever. You ever tried walking up the down escalator? You know the escalator's coming down, but you're trying to walk up. Okay, that's what it's like. I have to constantly keep moving. I don't even have to actively decide to turn around and walk back down the stairs, do I? All I need to do is just stop moving. I just stop moving and I will get dragged back down that escalator every time, okay? Another analogy that I make a lot is to talk about the spiritual bank account. And I think it's key and it's essential for me to be making little deposits into the spiritual bank account every day. So right now, we are all making a deposit into this spiritual bank account. You come to this meeting, we read the book together. This is a deposit into the spiritual bank account. When I pray in the morning, that's a deposit in the spiritual bank account. When I talk to a newcomer, that's a deposit in the spiritual bank account. When we do a step 5, our first step 5, I believe that's a big deposit. That's a big one. Okay. When we make our first step 9 amend, that's a big one. When we get our first sponsee, that's a big deposit. Okay. And the thing is, as life goes on, life is constantly making withdrawals from that spiritual bank account. Okay. And there's little nickel and dime resentments and little petty annoyances that we have that, and it's always taking currency out, spiritual currency out. And I have to keep putting spiritual currency. I got to keep putting deposits back in the bank account. Okay. Into the spiritual bank account. We all know people as well who have been, well, I'll tell you guys, like, we all go through things. We all get our turn in the barrel sooner or later. One of my favorite speakers, Bob Bazans, talks about this. Sooner or later, we all get our turn in the barrel. We're going to get sick, or someone's going to pass away. We're going to get downsized at our job. I had to resign from my job 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, this career, I've been there 8 years. Okay, I was given an ultimatum and ultimately I chose to step away from the company. That's what I had to do. I'll tell you what, man, standing at the airport in Houston, Texas, terrified. That was a withdrawal from the spiritual bank account. You guys know what I mean? That was a withdrawal. And thank God, thank you all that I've had so much opportunity to make big deposits into that account so that I can make a withdrawal like that. And we can get through the certain trials and low spots in life. There are trials and low spots, and they are certain. Certain. They're coming. They are coming for all of us. And one of the things I like to point out is that not all the trials I go through are low spots. Some of the trials that I go through are incredibly great things that happen in my life, because no one ever loved success more than alkies. Okay. I remember Ronald Reagan, former President Ronald Reagan, talking about his father. His father was an alcoholic. And he always said, my dad, when things were bad, he could buckle down and stay sober and pull himself up by the bootstraps and get the job and start making money and start providing for the family again. That was not a problem. When he would get drunk is when he was on top again. He'd get on top drunk every time. Certain trials and low spots. How do we get through them? I get through them by continuing this program of action, but also by ensuring that I have a deep level of deposits of spiritual currency in my spiritual bank account so I can make a withdrawal. Two things. Number one, staying physically sober. Yes. But I don't want to just stay physically sober and still behave like a child. You guys know what I mean? Anyone here ever feel yourselves experiencing childish emotions and just responding and acting out and making tantrums, living in fear and getting angry at people and all that stuff? Okay? Of course, that's alcoholism. Okay? And what I want to be able to do is get through the certain trials and low spots of life and behave with a level of emotional, mental, and spiritual sobriety. What my grand sponsor Clancy calls a grown-up. Okay? I want to behave like a grown-up when life happens. And I want to be the rock and the pillar that people can depend on. And when these things are happening to me in my life or you and yours, maybe the secret is not to be obsessed with my own life, but to rather be thinking about others and how I can help them and help meet their needs. And suddenly I'm not obsessed with myself, okay? Because self-obsession is the root of my trouble. And that's where 1,000 forms of fear start to manifest, all of that stuff. I'd start to go crazy, okay? So when we talk about every day is a day that we have to be making these spiritual deposits, we have a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual condition. How do we maintain our spiritual condition? By ensuring that I'm making these little deposits in the bank account all the time. Okay, you guys? Ronan, back to you.
Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. We must go further, and that means more action. Step 11.
More action. Okay, so step 11, we'll get into step 11 next week. Tonight is entirely devoted to just step 10. One of the last things I want to point out on what we see in the book here, and then we'll go to the 12 and 12. It says, we can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. Guys, one of the things that I've come to learn and I've come to believe strongly is that willpower gets a really bad reputation in Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? We are very quick to say willpower is of absolutely no use. It's of absolutely no avail. Get rid of your willpower, okay? And that really, to my mind, is only applicable to one step. Step one. Step one, willpower is of absolutely no avail in terms of keeping myself sober, okay? The rest of my life, what I need to do when I make that decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, as I understand it, what I'm really doing is saying, I have this God-given willpower. God gave us free instinct, okay? He gave us free will, rather, not instinct. We're not just animals like that live on instinct. I have free will. I can choose to do whatever I want to do, okay? But the purpose and the key in Alcoholics Anonymous, I have learned, is to align my will with God's will, okay? You guys remember we talked about the little circle inside the big circle? You guys remember that? The whole key of life is for me to keep that little circle of Kevin's will inside the big circle of God's will. And what did we just see? We can exercise our willpower along this line all we want. It is the proper use of the will. What I'm really doing is aligning my self-will and the strength and the God-given intellect and the skills and the attributes and the gifts that God has given me naturally, as He's given all of us. We align that with God's will. Now, we can ask God for the power to carry that out, to help turbocharge our will, okay? And to help us have the power to align our will with God's will, because sometimes it ain't easy. I mean, I'm sure you've all heard the saying, the right thing to do and the easy thing to do are very seldom the same thing. The right thing is often very difficult to do. And I have to drag my self-will kicking and screaming into alignment with God's will. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then I align it with God's will and I do what I was supposed to do. And then when it's all said and done, I get to say, "Oh, Kevin, is there no end to your goodness? Oh, Kevin, you're such a martyr for AA, Kevin. How do you do it?" Okay? And I get to actually believe that about myself. Okay? And that's really what we're doing, guys. You know, on page 552, we read this when we talked about step 4, but it says the only real freedom a man will ever know is doing what he ought to do because he wants to do it. Okay, well, what does that mean? That means that God's will and Kevin's self-will are naturally in alignment. That's freedom. Okay, what I ought to do and what I want to do are the same thing. That's freedom. And let me tell you, that is rare for me. Most of the time, what I ought to be doing and what I want to be doing are totally different. Okay, because I am selfish and self-centered to the core, and I would much rather be just watching Netflix and eating M&Ms on the couch and doing what I want to do the way I want to do it when I want to do it. But I can't live that way. I have to align my will with God's will, and sometimes that's very hard to do, and so we need to ask for help. And we'll talk about that next week when we get to step 11, okay? How do we ask for help in terms of aligning our will with God's will? Now let's go to step 10 in the 12 and 12. I believe that this is some of the most beautiful spiritual writing in all of Alcoholics Anonymous. And when I was new, I was living in a treatment center, and I don't know why every once in a while God just blesses us with one of the keys to the kingdom. But I stumbled upon these readings, and I read what we're going to read together here today. I read this every day for months and months and months. So we're going to be on page 90 in the 12 and 12 on step 10. And we're going to read just a few pages, but man, these are just action-packed, just full of beautiful stuff. So first of all, this is something, if you guys have ever heard the speaker Sandy B, anybody here ever heard Sandy B, Sandy Beach? Okay, the first line that we're going to read here is something that Sandy B refers to all the time. Okay, it is a spiritual axiom. An axiom means an irrefutable truth, an absolute certainty. It is an absolute irrefutable truth. Okay, a spiritual axiom. Ronan, you want to read the rest for us? Page 90.
It is a spiritual axiom that every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us. If somebody hurts us and we are sore, we are in the wrong also. But there are no exceptions to this rule. What about justifiable anger? If somebody cheats us, aren't we entitled to be mad? Can't we be properly angry with self-righteous folk? For us of AA, these are dangerous exceptions. We have found that justified anger ought to be left to those better qualified to handle it.
Okay, guys, and look, I want to tell you, this is a hard pill to swallow. Believe me. And I continue to revolt at this at certain times in my life, okay? But it is axiomatic. Any time I am disturbed, there is something wrong with me. That is not easy to accept. But in the spiritual world, this is axiomatic. Sandy Beach says this is one of the most important lines written in Alcoholics Anonymous. If I am disturbed, there's something wrong with me. And thank God for that, because I am the only thing I can control. Guys, when we talk about the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, everything, the courage to change the things I can, me, and the wisdom to know the difference. That is it. Accept the things I cannot change. Everything else in the world. Courage to change the things I can, me, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, here's a pop quiz related to step 10. How do we learn to know the difference? Where do we get the wisdom to know the difference on the things that I cannot change and accepting them, or having the courage to change the things I can? Where do I get the wisdom to know the difference? From inventory, from doing inventory. That's where we learn the wisdom to know the difference. I do inventory and I share that inventory with someone else. And that is how I sort out the true from the false. That is how I understand what I can accept and what I need the courage to change, and the difference and the wisdom to know the difference. Anytime I am disturbed, there is something wrong with me. Absolute truth. Ronan, back to you.
Few people have been more victimized by resentments than have we alcoholics. It mattered little whether our resentments were justified or not. A burst of temper could spoil a day, and a well-nursed grudge could make us miserably ineffective. Nor were we skillful in separating justified from unjustified anger. As we saw it, our wrath was always justified. Anger, that occasional luxury of more balanced people, could keep us on an emotional jag indefinitely. These emotional dry benders often led straight to the bottle. Other kinds of disturbances, jealousy, envy, self-pity, or hurt pride, did the same thing. Spot check inventory taken in the midst of such disturbances can be of very great help in quieting stormy emotions. Today's spot check finds its chief application to situations which arise in each day's march. Consideration of long-standing difficulties had better be postponed, when possible, to times deliberately set aside for that purpose. The quick inventory is aimed at our daily ups and downs, especially those where people or new events throw us off balance and tempt us to make mistakes.
So guys, forgive me. I want to rewind a little bit. Actually, I want to go to page 89. Forgive me for this, but this it's really, really important, and kind of key. So Ronan, let's go back to page 89. I want to talk about the three different types of inventory, the three types of time distinguishment in inventory. Okay, and I'll put this up right now. So can you guys, oh, wait, hang on. I need to share it first. Hang on. Okay, so as we said, we're going to look for four things. We're going to do four things. Okay. Now, the three types of inventory from a time perspective are the spot check inventory, the daily or nightly inventory, and then the annual or semi-annual house cleaning. So Ronan, if you could read through those for us on page 89, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, although all inventories are alike in principle, the time factor does distinguish one from another. There's a spot check inventory taken at any time of the day, whenever we find ourselves getting tangled up. There's the one we take at day's end, when we review the happenings of the hours just past. Here we cast up a balance sheet, crediting ourselves with things well done and chalking up debits where due. Then there are those occasions when alone.
So I'm just going to stop you there, Ronan. So look, guys, when I said that I have on the inside of my forehead a little 4-column inventory for resentments, for fears, sex conduct, and so on, that same 4-column inventory, okay, when it talks about spot check inventory, in the moment when I'm getting tangled up, okay, that's where I'll do a little bit of that inventory in my mind, okay? If it's still troublesome at the end of the day, then at my daily or nightly inventory, I will gladly sit down and put it down on pen and paper, okay? And I know people that love that pride themselves on doing a written inventory every day, and that is just not me. I will share with you guys what I do from step 10. I'm not saying, guys, if I had the discipline to sit and put pen to paper every day of my life, I would be quite proud of that. But I would be dishonest if I said that I do all of that. I don't. if you have the discipline to do it, I think that's a wonderful thing. And there's there's a room for improvement in my life. That would be something good that I could do. Certainly. I will show you what I do. There is an app for step 10 that I use. Point being, knowing that 4-column inventory inside and out is essential in terms of being able to do these spot check inventories. When I do the daily or nightly inventory is when I'll do written pen and paper. And now we're going to read about the annual or semi-annual house cleaning. Ronan?
Then there are those occasions when alone or in the company of our sponsor or spiritual advisor, we make a careful review of our progress since the last time. Many AAs go in for annual or semi-annual house cleanings. Many of us also like the experience of an occasional retreat from the outside world where we can quiet down for an undisturbed day or so of self-overhaul and meditation. Aren't these practices joy killers as well as time consumers?
Oh, sorry, we'll stop there. We'll stop there, Ronan. So really, guys, that's what I wanted to highlight for you, okay? The 3 types of inventory. There's the spot check inventory right now, daily or nightly inventory at the end of the day, and then there's the annual or semi-annual house cleaning. You might want to call it a step 5, okay? I do one every year with my sponsor. It's important. And if you want to think about the analogy of cleaning house, we talk about house cleaning, right? In terms of daily or spot check, I mean, there's stuff that we do around the house every day. Every day we might put the dishes in the dishwasher, or we might wipe the kitchen cupboard, the countertop, or we might empty the garbage. There's stuff that we do every day, just general maintenance stuff, right? But we don't wash the windows in our house every day, do we? Now, we wash the windows about once a year, don't we? Every spring, right? We wash the windows. Well, what would happen if all we did was all the regular maintenance around the house, but we never ever washed the windows? We never ever did that annual job of cleaning the windows, of washing the windows on our house. What would happen? What would get blocked out from our house? Sunlight. The sunlight would stop getting in. You guys with me on that? So it's important. Yes, spot check inventory. Yes, daily or nightly, but it is also, Ronan's one of my sponsees. I love it, man. Next Sunday, we're doing one of his. Okay, we're doing one of his step 5s. And that is an absolute joy to be able to receive a step 5. And what Ronan and I will really do that day, we'll trade inventory. Okay. And it's a very beautiful thing. And then if you guys like, the following Tuesday, I'll be happy to share some of Ronan's step 5 with you guys. I kid, Ronan. I'm just kidding around. Just keeping you on your toes, buddy.
A lot cleaner these days than it was last year, so I'm not too worried.
Funny. So with all that said, guys, we're going to start at the bottom of page 90 now. Now that it says a spot check inventory, I apologize. I got kind of crossed wires there. Now you'll know what we're talking about here, Ronan, when it talks about a spot check inventory. And then I want to share something with you guys that I think is even more important than a spot check inventory, which is like a pre-spot check inventory or a preemptive step 10. Okay. Because what's far better than just admitting very quickly that I committed the crime is not committing the crime in the first place. Okay. Apologizing that I said that thing is not as good as just not saying the thing. Okay. So let's talk about how we can get there. Ronan?
Spot check inventory taken in the midst of such disturbances can be of very great help in quieting stormy emotions. Today's spot check finds its chief application to situations which arise in each day of March. Consideration of long-standing difficulties had better be postponed, when possible, to times deliberately set aside for that purpose. The quick inventory is aimed at our daily ups and downs, especially those where people or new events throw us off balance and tempt us to make mistakes. In all these situations, we need self-restraint, honest analysis of what is involved, a willingness to admit when the fault is ours, and an equal willingness to forgive when the fault is elsewhere. We need not be discouraged when we fall into the error of our old ways. for these disciplines are not easy. We should look for progress, not for perfection. Our first objective will be the development of self-restraint. This carries a top priority rating. When we speak or act hastily or rashly, the ability to be fair-minded and tolerant evaporates on the spot. One unkind tirade or one willful snap judgment can ruin our relation with another person for a whole day, or maybe a whole year. Nothing pays off like restraint of tongue and pen. We must avoid quick-tempered criticism and furious, power-driven arguments. The same goes for sulking or silent scorn. These are emotional booby traps baited with pride and vengefulness. Our first job is to sidestep the traps. When we are tempted by the bait, we should train ourselves to step back and think, for we can neither think nor act to good purpose until the habit of self-restraint has become automatic.
Okay, guys, so you'll see what I'm sharing here. Spot check inventory, okay? Restraint of tongue and pen. This carries a top priority rating. And it's, by the way, guys, it's restraint of tongue and pen and text message and email and Instagram and Snapchat and anything else, okay? It's far better, as I said, to just not say the thing, whatever it might be, okay? And you'll see there that little acronym, MYOB-KYMS. I was taught the best way to do a preemptive step 10 on a daily basis is to mind your own business and keep your mouth shut. MYOB-KYMS, mind my own business and keep my mouth shut, okay? I love the saying, guys, that nothing, okay, so air quotes, nothing is often the right thing to do and always a good thing to say. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Nothing is often the right thing to do and always a good thing to say. Okay, restraint of tongue and pen. That said, Lord help me, sometimes I just can't help myself. And sometimes, despite knowing all about self-restraint, I see myself saying these things. And the words, have you ever had this experience, guys? Have you ever had the experience of being in a place with someone? It could be a family member, it could be a complete stranger at the shopping mall, okay? And you can see that these words are coming out of my mouth, and I can see and I know as these words are coming out, I'm going to be making amends for what I'm saying right now. This is not going to be well. I am hurting people right now, but I've lost control. I can't stop. Okay? That is no restraint of tongue and pen. That is the tongue and the pen going crazy all over the place. Okay? And I want you guys to know that step 10 and step 11 are very intricately woven. And we'll talk more about this next week, but I just want to say nothing has made more difference to me in terms of step 6 and 7 and being able to enjoy restraint, true restraint, than mindfulness meditation. And it's not even, guys, that I was like meditating for this effect. For whatever reason, mindfulness meditation, the kind that I balked at for years, that hippy-dippy new age stuff that was for those other types, not guys like me, okay? I was wrong. It changed everything. When I practice mindfulness meditation, what I like to say is that restraint of tongue and pen, as it's laid out in step 10, what it's really asking us to do is just to take our finger off of the trigger, okay? We're still walking around with a loaded gun, but we're just taking our finger off the trigger, okay? But what mindfulness meditation seems to do for me is that it just removed the bullets from the gun. They're just not there. And so I can see things and happening and these situations in my life that are happening, and I can see that I'm not reacting and responding to these things the way that I used to. Mindfulness meditation has smoothed out my rough edges, and it has removed my level of impulsivity and especially my level of reactivity. when these things happen, when I become disturbed, when I get tangled up, which happens. Mindfulness meditation. And I'm going to take you guys through mindfulness meditation next week in step 11. Mindfulness meditation is the thing that has made more difference to my ability to mind my own business and keep my mouth shut, to exercise true restraint of tongue and pen more than anything. And nothing pays off. That's what our book says. Nothing pays off like restraint of tongue and pen. Guys, it's one thing for me to tell you you're a jerk and then admit, I was wrong to call you a jerk. It's just far better if all I do is think you're a jerk and don't tell you. Okay. Anyway, guys. Mindfulness meditation is where it's at, man. What a powerful, powerful tool. Anyway. And it says here, for we can neither think nor act to good purpose until the habit of self-restraint has become automatic. Yeah, thank you, Greg. The only way it ever became automatic for me was beginning to practice mindfulness meditation. Really practice it as a discipline every day. And I'll talk more about that next week. Okay, Ronan, back to you. Let's go through the next 2 paragraphs. We're going to talk about big shotism and humility.
I think it was disagreeable or unexpected problems are not the only ones that call for self-control. We must be quite as careful when we begin to achieve some measure of importance and material success. For no people have ever loved personal triumphs more than we have loved them. We drank of success as of a wine which could never fail to make us feel elated. When temporary good fortune came our way, we indulged ourselves in fantasies of still greater victories over people and circumstances. Thus, blinded by prideful self-confidence, we were apt to play the big shot. Of course, people turned away from us, bored or hurt. Now that we're in AA and sober and winning back the self-esteem of our friends and business associates, we find that we still need to exercise special vigilance. As an insurance against big shotism, we can often check ourselves by remembering that we are today sober only by the grace of God, that any success we may be having is far more His success than ours.
Okay, guys, so we're going to stop there for tonight. Believe me when I tell you, I don't need to have many successes in order for me to fall victim to big shotism. Okay? It doesn't take much. Like I remember, being in treatment and, I had nothing. I had literally nothing. Like I got my welfare check and that kind of paid the rent and I had nothing else. And I didn't have, and I remember, a guy in the treatment center, I'd asked him if he would lend me money to buy a pack of cigarettes. And he came and he gave me a pack of cigarettes and he gave me a $20 bill. He gave me a $20 bill and a pack of cigarettes. And man, we had the 1835 house sober dance that night. You better believe big shotism all over the place. It doesn't take much. A pack of cigarettes and a $20 bill, and Kevin is just soaked with big shotism again. Okay. And I just love the way that Bill Wilson puts that. And it's so important for me in all areas of my life to always remember that any success I may be having is far more God's success than ours. Okay. Any success I may be having is far more God's success than ours. I need to always remember that. And I need to always carry that with me everywhere I go. And even on the days, man, I may not feel very successful. Some of the days I may not feel that some of the things are going well, but I think when I take inventory, there's always something I can be grateful for, and then I need to always remember that those things that I'm grateful for are blessings from God, and they're God's success, not mine. Okay. All right, guys, I love you lots. Let's close with the Serenity Prayer, or rather, let's close with the Lord's Prayer, and then we'll go around the room. Everyone can just say hello and introduce yourself and just let us know where you're from. And I love, we got people here from all over the world, man. I think it's just the coolest thing in the world. So if you would, please, let's close with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as
on
it is
earth as
in
it is
heaven.
in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
bread,
and forgive us our
and forgive us
trespasses.
the trespasses,
We forgive
as
those
we
who
forgive
trespass
those who
against
trespass
us.
against us.
And lead us not into
Lead us not
temptation,
into
but
temptation,
deliver us from
but
evil.
deliver us from
Thine
evil.
is the kingdom,
For thine is
power,
the
and
kingdom,
the glory,
power,
forever and
and
ever.
glory,
Amen.
forever and ever. Amen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, guys, let's just quickly go around the room, and everyone just say hello and let us know where you're from. We'll start with Gail G.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I knew you were 1835 House alumni. I used to hang with you guys real tight.
There you
Anyway,
go.
I'm an alcoholic from Kelowna, BC.
Hi, Gail. Great to have you. Great to have you. We'll go to Karen. Oh, you're muted, Karen.
Okay, I'm Karen. I don't know if it's the right one, but hi, I'm Karen. I'm an overeater, and I'm in Florida.
Awesome, Karen. Great to have you. Now the other Karen.
Okay,
Never
sorry.
have too
Sorry,
many
Karen.
That's fine, Karen. I'm glad you spoke up. Now we'll get the other Karen to unmute and say hello.
Hi, I'm Karen, the other Karen. And I'm from Huntington Beach, California. Or
Hey,
I'm
other Karen.
living there.
Great
Thank
to
you.
have you, Karen. Great to have
Oh, are
you.
you going to do this over again, Kevin? When we're all done, we're already to step 11, or do we know?
No, I do this
Over again?
every Tuesday night. Every Tuesday night. As long
Okay.
as you
All
guys
right.
you guys keep listening, I'll keep talking.
Okay.
You guys keep
Good
showing up, I'll
news.
keep being here. Yeah.
Good
Yeah, I've done
news.
this.
Okay.
I've done this
Thank
for
you.
over. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I've done this for over 15 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
15 years. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that, Raymond. Raymond. Yeah. Thanks, Raymond. Thank you for that fist pump.
Hey,
The
yeah.
fist pump of encouragement.
I'm Raymond. I'm a recovered alcoholic from Long Island, New York.
Great to have you, Raymond. Great to have you, brother. Glad you're here. India.
I'm India. I'm a compulsive overeater from Missouri.
Hey, great to have you, India. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
Shiva.
Hello everyone, Shiva, alcoholic from Calgary.
All right, good stuff, Shiva. Neetha.
Hi, my name is Neetha. I'm an alcoholic and I live in Dallas, Texas.
Great to have you. Neetha, I thought that you dropped off for some reason because I saw a note that said, thank you, Kevin. And I thought you were saying like, thank you, I gotta go.
I always put my comments in right before the end of the meeting, so I know they'll see them.
Oh, good. Perfect. Great. Well, I certainly did. Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I'm from Leicestershire, in the UK. And I do my inventory every night because my sponsor tells me to.
Amen. That's a great reason to do anything. That's a great reason to do anything. Let's go to Judy Pops in New York.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm Judy, alcoholic, and I live in Massapequa in New York, Long Island.
Love it. Love it. Hey, there's my man, Cody. Cody, you want to say hi?
Cody, I'm from Edmonton.
Hey, Cody. Great to have you, brother. Let's go to Benjamin Collins.
Hey, guys. I'm Ben Collins from Elyria, Ohio in the United States.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Great to have you.
Love you guys, man.
Love you too, buddy. Marietta.
I'm Marietta, recovered compulsive overeater from Norfolk, Virginia.
Beautiful to have you. Great to have you. And last but not least, everyone, our reader, the man who made it all possible tonight, Mr. Ronan.
Hey, Ronan, recovered alcoholic from Dublin, Ireland, but living in Calgary, Alberta.
Love it, man. That's great. Okay, you guys. Did I miss anybody?
I don't think so.
Yourself.
Okay, the only other thing I want to say is, Cody, while I have you, Richard called me today and said he was going to try to call you, but he thinks it's long distance to your phone, so he's not sure.
It is.
Yeah, okay, then he won't be able to call for right now, but we'll
I can
get
call him. I'll call him.
Okay, very good, Cody. Cody's sponsoring, guys. How about that? Okay, second in command. Cody's already sponsoring. It's absolutely beautiful. And anyway, guys, I love you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
I
Ronan.
will see you next Tuesday. Adios. Have a great night, you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Good night.
Kevin.